Hello, friends, and welcome back to r/ProRevenge. Did you know that revenge can be given through gifts? In our first story, you'll understand why. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. Gift giving. For some background, my mother's family is Guyanese and mixed with Scottish, German, and Amerindian, but mainly look black. My mother married a white Irish man, my dad, and I came out looking super duper pale with blue eyes and blonde hair. My brothers are both much darker because being biracial means getting a grab bag of jeans. My aunt, my mother's sister, married a Nigerian immigrant who is lazy and a D-bag. He came over for a PhD course, which he only passed because my aunt wrote his thesis and in the 30 years since has refused to work. A few years ago, he was shouting about something completely false, and when I told him he was wrong, he tried to physically attack me for being disrespectful and had to be held back by my dad and uncles. He was in his 50s and I was a 16-year-old girl. I later heard from my grandfather that after he yelled at my aunt's husband, aunt's husband, said that if he faced any consequences, like being banned from family dinners or told off again for his treatment of me, he would take my cousins, leave my aunt, and go back to Nigeria. It's been a few years since then. I'm an adult now, and I've steered clear of as many holidays as possible. I didn't want my grandfather to have to choose between protecting me and seeing my cousins again. My grandfather made it clear he was on my side and would have physically removed the a-hole from his home, but of course that would probably result in never seeing my cousins again. I didn't want him to make that choice. My grandfather died this year. It was a pretty awful illness, and I spent most of my time out of work inside the hospital with him. My dad was there too. His father-in-law was the closest he had to a father. My grandfather taught me many things, including that you shouldn't allow people to ruin things for you, things like family gatherings. Now, the thing about this dude is, on top of being lazy as crap, he's super entitled. He fully believes that he's the head of the family, despite everyone hating him and ignoring him. He believes he's owed deference and respect from all. He told my aunt that since I didn't show him respect, she and my cousins were no longer to buy my Christmas presents. I haven't received a single one from them in years, so I set my plan into motion. I don't get paid a lot, but I saved from October onwards. I filled the tree in my grandfather's old house with presents, one for every person in my family, bar one. This morning, Christmas Day, I stood under that tree with my gifts in arms and gave every person there a present I had spent hours picking out. I went up to each individual, passing him several times while he looked at the gifts greedily and handed everyone something they would have wanted. I got to drink in the look of guilt on the faces of my cousins and my aunt as I received one solitary present from my mother's brother, as they received a bunch from me. It was delicious. Finally, there was one gift left under the tree, a single envelope. It said, "For all your help looking after grandfather." I handed it to him. Inside were return Eurostar tickets to Paris for a long weekend. "Oh," I said, "I've made a mistake. That's my extra present to Dad." And indeed, there was my father's name on the tickets. He got to see every wonderful gift I got everyone else, while he received nothing. Nothing from me, nothing from my brothers who hate how he treats me, nothing from my uncles who hate him, and only ever gave him things because my grandfather wanted to keep the peace and continue seeing his grandkids. And our second story. My children will be paying the same rate as me. So, I'm now the owner of a landscaping business that my father started. He retired last year. He still checks in and helps a lot on the business end of things until I get my footing. We work in a city in South Florida, and about 95% of our customers are above the age of 60. My dad has 3 clients that we charge at a very low rate because they've used him since the start of the business. 2 out of 3 are great. They understand that they're being charged a low rate and love us for it. But we have one lady that's very hard to deal with. My dad refuses to let go of her contract without a legitimate reason. That's just who my dad is. She has 2 daughters, and they both own homes with their husbands. We get a call from this lady asking us to take on her daughters. I told her if she would like to give them our number, I can talk with them and get it figured out. I was doing this as a favor to my dad, really, because adding the extra 2 properties right now stretches us pretty thin, and I'd probably have to help out as well as my cousin, who basically manages the cruise. Anyone will tell you expanding with a landscaping company is not as easy as it seems, and it's bordering along the impossible without proper planning. So one of the 2 daughters calls in and gives me their details, and I told them I could come out and meet them and give them an estimate as soon as possible. That was met with a few seconds of silence and followed by, "Daughter, my mom had told me about the rate she paid, and we were under the assumption that we'd be paying under those same rates." Me: "Unfortunately, we won't be able to do that, ma'am. We give her a special discount for being with us for so long." Daughter: "Ma'am is my mom, and I'm sure she won't be happy to hear about this." Me: "Okie dokie." Her: "Click." And after yelling click, she hung up the phone. Not seriously, just a joke. So I don't think anything of it. Tell my pops what happened. We had a laugh about it and how entitled the people where we live are. Late that night, I get a call from the crazy lady. Me: "Hello?" Her: "Let me explain something to you. We have a way of doing things in this town, and you just broke rule 1. The customer is always right. You told me you'd take on my daughters, and I expect you to do just that." Me: "I told your daughters I could take them on, but not at the same rate. I never said I would be charging the same rate." Her: "Yes, you absolutely did. And I expect you to hold to your word like your father would. He would be so disappointed in you right now." I'm guessing she didn't know my dad still took part in the business because he avoids her at all costs. Me: "Okay, ma'am, I'll see what I can do." Her: "You better. This is just not how you do business." Me: "Okay." I went to my dad and told him about it. He told me to end her contract. I told him I had a better idea, and he agreed to it. Now I say contract, but it's just a monthly billing for her contract due to it being so low. So I call her back the next day. Her: "Hello?" Me: "Hello there, Mrs. Insert old hag's name. It's me, blank, your landscaping company, calling you back." Her: "I hope you have some good news because I still feel slighted." Me: "Oh, I have some news. We'll be giving your daughters the same rate as you instead." Her: "Perfect. When can I tell them you'll be over?" Me: "We'll get to that, but we have to discuss your new rates first." Her: "What new rates? I didn't agree to new rates." Me: "Oh well, you requested to pay the same amount as your daughters, so we've taken away the special discount we've given you, and your new rate will be $800 a month. That'll start in 2 months from now." What came after was incoherent screaming and her hanging up. She called back the next day but refused to talk with me. She tried talking with my cousin, but he referred her to me. She tried getting a hold of my dad, but he shut off his work cell long ago. She eventually calls back and tried to negotiate with me, but I told her it was all at her request and too late to go back on it. She dropped us the next month. She had been a thorn in my dad's side for so long, he was relieved when I told him about the call. He didn't want me to have the extra stress of dealing with her anyway. And our last story. Take away profits from an animal aid organization? Good idea. Here's the cast. Names changed. Tess, my mom. Karen, event planner / worthy victim of ProRevenge TM. John, Tess's lawyer. For context, Tess is the vice president of a prominent nonprofit organization, which we'll call HC for the sake of simplicity, whose main focus is to aid and protect pets, as well as improve the situation of animals with no home. Karen worked for HC under the role of an event planner, and one of the events that the entire board of HC, as well as Karen, had come up with was a fashion show. The event name must remain anonymous for reasons later revealed, but the main idea was that all the proceeds of the fashion show would go towards HC's animal relief provisions. After the event was set in stone months in advance, Karen quit for reasons unknown and instead joined a competing and less humane animal organization. Here's where the problem arose. Karen began advertising HC's event name all over social media, but changed many essential details. She changed the date, time, and the proceeds would go towards the place of her new employment. Little did she know, using the same name would not only cause much confusion among attendees, taking away HC's much-needed profit, but as everyone would later discover, it was also completely illegal. Tess reached out to Karen in a polite email asking her to simply change the name of the event she was hosting for the competing organization, explaining that it would be harmful to the profit of HC's event. Karen flipped. She responded back to Tess saying she would not change the event name under any circumstances. Karen posted all over social media saying that HC was a corrupt organization and that she hopes no one would attend the event of such a disgusting organization. She also thought it would be appropriate to reach out to the place hosting HC's event and tell them to cancel HC's event and instead host her company's event. They, of course, refused. Tess had come home many nights crying, upset that something as trivial as this was going to, in the long run, take away valuable profit from HC and the animals they're attempting to relieve. The publicity alone that Karen had attracted would bring irreparable damage. So after much consideration and counsel with her board members, Tess reached out to her organization's lawyer, John. ProRevenge time. John reaches out to Karen and her organization in an email detailing what she was doing was unlawful, and if she refused to comply with HC's request, she'd be sued for damages. Apparently, even if she had a hand in coming up with the event, she was under the employment of HC when it was created, and being an employee, all the intellectual property rights went to HC by default. This was actually detailed in terms of general employment agreements, but I suppose that's one more person who failed to read the terms and conditions. This time, Karen took it up a level of immaturity, responding to John in a nasty and disrespectful email, maintaining her new routine of attacking HC on social media, but this time she got many of her coworkers and friends to do as well. So what was Tess and John's response to this? They sued. Court day comes, and I'll spare all the lengthy legal details, but Karen comes out with two choices. 1. File for bankruptcy, or 2. Post an apology and a statement that HC was in the right and she fully supports them, that they get all rights to the event, and that she must sell $30,000 worth of tickets over the next 2 years. It's an annual event. A disgruntled and hesitant Karen chose door 2. As of now, John and Karen are collaborating on a public apology, and she's got a hell of a lot of tickets left to sell. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.